Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we're tackling a destination that's, well, truly iconic, Nepal.
Absolutely. It conjures up so many images, so much expectation, Everest, trekkers, spirituality.
Exactly, and because it holds such a legendary status, we thought it's high time we ran it through our analytical grinder.
Right. Cut through the romantic haze and the glossy brochures.
We're applying a rigorous framework to figure out its real value proposition for you, the modern traveler.
It's a critical mission today, I think, because anyone considering Nepal is looking at a pretty significant commitment.
Definitely.
We're not just talking about a week off work. We're analyzing Nepal as a big investment. Your time, your hard-earned cash, and honestly, your physical and emotional energy, too.
That's a great point. The energy cost is real.
And the core dilemma we're tackling is this. We live in an age where, let's face it, many famous spots are dealing with over-tourism, crazy logistics, inflated costs.
Yeah, the shine can wear off quick.
So, is an iconic destination like Nepal still worth that huge effort? That's the question we want to answer for you.
We know people save for years, use their most precious vacation time, maybe even push their physical boundaries for this place.
They really do. It's often a lifelong dream.
So our analysis is designed to give you the unvarnished truth. We've structured it using our traveler's verdict methodology.
Yeah, it's a framework we find really helpful. It breaks things down logically.
We want to arm you with the knowledge you need, so if you do go, you get maximum reward for, hopefully, minimum stress.
So we've broken this down to 4 clear stages. First, we'll really dig into the case for going. We call this the legend.
Where the magic comes from.
Exactly, all the reasons it pulls people in. Then, stage 2, we hit you with the reality check.
Okay, the flip side.
The brutal truths, the downsides, the stuff the marketing glosses over. Third, based on that reality, we build out the strategic playbook.
Right, the how-to guide for navigating the challenges.
Your game plan for making it work. And finally, we deliver the verdict. But not just a simple yes or no.
No, it's never that simple, is it?
It can't be. We aim for a nuanced, actionable judgment. We'll tell you exactly who we think should go, and maybe who should think twice.
Okay, sounds like a plan.
Yeah.
Let's dive in. Where does the dream begin? Let's talk about the legend. Why Nepal?
Yeah, the legend.
What gives it this incredible, almost magnetic pull, even after all these decades?
Well, the allure, it's almost mythical, isn't it? It taps into something deep.
It really does. You just say Nepal and people picture immense mountains.
Immense mountains, definitely. Peaks scraping the sky. That immediate sense of vastness, maybe silence, pure nature. Something kind of timeless.
Something bigger than us.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So why do people dedicate so much savings, vacation, physical effort, often choosing it over, easier beach holidays?
Yeah, what's the core driver?
I think it boils down to a profound sense of awe. Nepal offers the absolute pinnacle, geographically speaking, the roof of the world.
Can't argue with that.
And it represents peak human endeavor, too, the history of mountaineering. So when travelers commit, they're not just booking a trip, they're signing up for an experience of scale. True scale.
That's a good way to put it. Scale.
Yeah. And this is the pro argument at its strongest.
Yeah.
Those iconic views, the ones you see in photos, they genuinely deliver. It's a sensory hit that's hard to find elsewhere.
It's not just a pretty picture.
No, it's an overwhelming feeling. Standing there, feeling tiny against the backdrop of the Himalayas, that sense of insignificance, but in a good way.
You save up, you make the effort, and Nepal actually delivers on that core promise of dramatic world-class landscape.
It absolutely can. But let's get more specific about the iconography. It's not just rock and ice, is it? What elevates these mountains beyond geology?
Good question. What gives them that spiritual dimension?
Well, even the names tell a story. What many Westerners call Mount Everest.
Sagarmatha, right?
Sagarmatha in Nepali, yeah.
Yeah.
Roughly, forehead in the great sky. And for the Sherpa and Tibetans, it's Chomolungma, Holy Mother, or Mother of the Universe. Think about that. This isn't just a climbing challenge. It's perceived as a deity, a sacred entity.
And you feel that reverence on the ground.
Oh, immediately. You see it everywhere. The colorful prayer flags fluttering on high passes, the chortens, those Buddhist stupas lining the trails, the monasteries perched impossibly high on hillsides. That deep spiritual context, that's what transforms a grueling trek from just a physical challenge into something more like a pilgrimage. It's not just sightseeing.
That makes sense. That connection seems key. It differentiates it from just, say, hiking in the Alps, maybe.
Perhaps. There's this immediate link to something ancient, something deeply meaningful beyond just the landscape itself.
Tell us a bit about the history. What's a key story from Nepal's past that helps explain why a visit feels so significant?
I think the pivot point is its history of isolation and then its sudden, dramatic entry onto the world stage. For centuries, Nepal was this fiercely independent kingdom. It was largely closed off, especially the Kathmandu Valley, which allowed this unique blend of Hindu and Buddhist culture to flourish, kind of insulated.
Right, it wasn't colonized like much of the region.
Exactly. And then came the pivotal moment. 1953, Sir Edmund Hillary and Tenzing Norgay summiting Everest.
A global event.
Huge. It didn't just conquer a mountain, it blew the doors open to global interest, adventure tourism, everything that followed. So the history is this fascinating paradox. Ancient, quiet tradition meets modern global adventure.
So when we visit places like the Durbar Squares in Kathmandu today, even with the tragic earthquake damage from 2015,
Yes, those UNESCO sites.
we're basically looking at the physical remnants of that unique, isolated kingdom.
You really are. You're seeing architecture and artistry that developed on its own terms, blending Hinduism and Buddhism in ways you don't see elsewhere. The intricate wood carvings, the temple layouts.
It speaks to a different kind of strength.
I think so. A cultural resilience, a deep respect for the natural world woven into the fabric of society. That historical depth definitely elevates the whole experience beyond just pretty views.
Okay, let's talk about the absolute peak experience, that moment every potential traveler is hoping for. What's the best case scenario, the pro argument at its absolute zenith?
Right, the why I endured all this moment, it's almost always earned in Nepal. It rarely comes easy.
Earned how?
Usually through significant physical effort, overcoming logistical hurdles. If you're trekking, for instance, you've likely pushed your body for days, maybe weeks. You're dealing with altitude, cold, fatigue.
So paint the picture. What does that moment feel like?
Okay.
The sensory details.
Okay. Imagine you've hiked for hours in the pre-dawn darkness. You finally reach a high viewpoint, maybe Kalapathar near Everest Base Camp, or Poon Hill in the Annapurnas.
Cold.
Freezing. The air is thin, burns your lungs a bit. Every breath feels intentional, but it's utterly silent, except maybe the wind or prayer flags whooping.
Okay, I'm there.
Then the sun starts to rise. But it doesn't just light up the valley. It hits the absolute highest peaks. First Everest, Lhotse, Amadablam, Annapurna South, Makapuchar.
Wow.
And they don't just glow, they ignite. This incredible, almost unreal, fiery orange, then pink, then gold light that seems to just bathe the summits. And it slowly creeps down the mountainside.
That sounds incredible.
It's that moment, the scale, the color, the silence, the effort it took to get there. It feels like the world just tilts on its axis for a second. You realize you've traded comfort for something, well, truly spiritual and vast.
That's the payoff.
Yeah.
The definitive must-do moment people chase.
That's the trekking version, absolutely. But maybe you're not trekking. The peak experience could be more cultural.
Like what?
Perhaps sharing a very simple, traditional meal dal pet, the staple lentil soup, rice, and curry, in a tiny family-run tea house.
Okay.
And feeling that genuine warmth, the curiosity from the local family, maybe realizing you are completely disconnected from your phone, from the rush of normal life, that moment of authentic human connection.
Simpler, but maybe just as profound.
It can be. That feeling, that authentic, earned moment, whether it's the sunrise on Everest or sharing tea with a Sherpa family, that's the peak experience Nepal promises. And that's why the dream, the legend, stays so incredibly powerful.
Okay, that was compelling. The legend is strong for a reason.
It is. The potential is definitely there.
But now we absolutely have to pivot. Time for the necessary correction. We've painted the ideal, the dream.
The brochure shot.
Exactly. Now we need to talk about the harsh realities, the stuff often left out of the marketing spin. This is the reality check, essential for anyone planning seriously.
And we need to be, well, pretty blunt here, because the gap between expectation and reality can be jarring for travelers.
How so?
People arrive fired up by those legendary stories, those filtered Instagram photos, and then bam, they hit the ground and face the complex, sometimes messy, often disappointing 21st century truth of the place.
Okay, so let's name names. What are the specific negative factors that can sour that dream trip? Let's start with the immediate impacts, crowds and environment.
Right. The contrast hits you almost immediately, especially if you fly into Kathmandu. You might be seeking peace, maybe spirituality.
And instead,
You land in chaos. Kathmandu is a sprawling, often heavily polluted city. The air quality can be really poor, particularly in the dry season. Think vehicle emissions, construction dust, brick kilns. It's a lot.
and Thamel, the famous backpacker hub.
Thamel is vibrant, no doubt. Lots of energy. But it can also feel suffocating. It's crowded, noisy, and relentlessly commercial. Hawkers, shops, bars, traffic. It's intense, not exactly serene.
Okay, so the gateway city is challenging. But what about when you escape to the mountains? Hit the trails. Does the serenity kick in then?
Not necessarily, and this is crucial. Suffocating crowds are a major issue on the most popular trekking routes, particularly Everest Base Camp, EBC, and Annapurna Base Camp, ABC. During the main seasons, it's autumn, roughly October, November, and spring, March, April.
So much for lonely reflection.
Forget it. You might have pictured yourself striding alone on a mountain path. The reality, you could be stuck in a slow-moving queue behind dozens of other trekkers, large guided groups, porters carrying huge loads, yak trains.
Wow, queues on a mountain trail.
Literally. It can completely shatter that sense of wilderness and solitude many people are seeking. And then there's the environmental aspect.
Yeah, what's the reality there?
While the high peaks themselves might look pristine from afar, the areas closer to the main trails, well, they show the strain. Waste management is a huge challenge in these remote areas. You'll often see litter, unfortunately. Plastic bottles, wrappers.
That must be disillusioning.
It can be heartbreaking, frankly. It definitely punctures the illusion of untouched nature that people expect. The sheer volume of tourism puts immense pressure on fragile environments.
Okay, crowds and environmental strain. Let's dig into something you mentioned earlier, the true cost. This feels really important. It's not just a flight ticket, is it?
Not even close. And this is where travelers often get caught out. We break the true cost down into 3 dimensions because the financial hit is just one part of the burden.
3 dimensions, okay, what are they?
Financial cost, obviously. Physical and mental cost, the toll on your body and mind. And ethical dilemmas, the responsible travel considerations.
Let's tackle financial first. Beyond the big-ticket items international flights, maybe that Lukla flight, permits, where does the budget bleed happen on the ground?
It happens because of what I call vertical inflation. Prices for basic goods skyrocket with altitude.
Vertical inflation. Makes sense.
In Kathmandu, things are generally quite affordable, but the second you start trekking upwards, especially in popular areas, everything gets exponentially more expensive. Why? Because every single item, food, fuel, drinks, has to be physically carried up, usually by porters or yaks.
Give us some example.
Okay, a bottle of water might cost you, say, 50 cents US in Kathmandu. By the time you reach Namche Bazaar on the EBC trek, maybe 3,440 meters, that same bottle could easily be $5.
10 times the price.
Easily. And higher up, near Gorak Shep, close to base camp, maybe $8 or even $10 for that same bottle. It applies to everything.
Yeah.
Meals, a cup of tea, charging your phone battery.
Yeah.
It all gets incredibly pricey.
So you need a hefty buffer just for daily essentials at altitude?
Absolutely. That's unavoidable logistics.
Uh-huh.
But then you also have the potential for tourist traps and scams.
Yes. What should people watch out for?
Well, in Kathmandu, be wary of overly aggressive touts, maybe trying to sell you fake permits or overpriced tours. Taxi drivers sometimes quote exorbitant tourist rates, always try to agree on a price beforehand or ask for the meter, though meters are often broken.
Classic.
Unofficial money changers might offer tempting rates, but use rigged calculators or shortchange you. And be really careful renting cheap trekking gear in Thamel.
Why is that?
Because that bargain sleeping bag might fail you at minus 10 degrees, or the waterproof jacket might soak through in the first downpour. Then you're forced to buy expensive replacements high up on the trail where you have no choice.
Nightmare scenario.
It happens. So, our advice. Factor in a contingency fund, maybe 15–20% of your daily budget, just for unexpected costs, minor ripoffs, and that vertical inflation, especially if you're trying to travel independently on local transport.
Okay, that covers the money. What about the second dimension? Physical and mental cost. The drain that doesn't show up on Instagram.
This is huge and potentially dangerous. Let's start with the physical. High-altitude trekking is tough. You need decent fitness, obviously. But far more important is acclimatization.
Dealing with the thin air.
Exactly. The risk of acute mountain sickness, AMS, is very real. Symptoms like severe headaches, nausea, vomiting, losing your appetite, dizziness, trouble sleeping. These are common above about 3,500 meters, which is around 11,500 feet.
And many popular treks go much higher than that.
Much higher. EBC is over 5,300 meters.
Yeah.
And if you ignore AMS symptoms, if you push on upwards too quickly thinking, I'll tough it out,
Bad idea.
potentially fatal idea. AMS can progress to high-altitude pulmonary edema, HAPE, fluid building up in the lungs, or high-altitude cerebral edema, HACE, swelling of the brain.
Wow. Okay, that's serious.
These are critical medical emergencies. They require immediate descent, often oxygen and medical treatment, and evacuation from high altitude. That's incredibly difficult.
So.
Often, the only way out quickly is by helicopter. Helicopters are hugely expensive, thousands of dollars, and totally dependent on good weather, which is never guaranteed in the Himalayas. Plus, you need proper travel insurance that explicitly covers high-altitude helicopter rescue. Many standard policies don't.
So the physical risk carries a massive potential financial and logistical burden too.
Exactly. The mental stress associated with that risk and just managing your body's reaction to altitude is significant. This isn't just a walk in the park, it's a serious physiological challenge.
And even if you avoid severe AMS, there's the general grind.
Absolutely. Just the logistics can be mentally exhausting. Think about that flight to Lukla we mentioned, the gateway to Everest.
The world's most dangerous airport.
Okay.
Or one of them.
It's certainly one of the most challenging. Short, steeply angled runway, perched on a mountainside, notorious for fog and wind delays. Flights get canceled all the time.
So you could be stuck for days.
Easily. The stress of just getting there, the uncertainty, the cramped waiting rooms. It's a huge mental drain before you've even started trekking. Then add navigating chaotic cities or enduring those long, uncomfortable local bus journeys on rough roads.
It all adds up.
It really does. It demands constant vigilance, problem solving, and resilience. This often isn't a restorative vacation in the traditional sense. It takes a toll.
Okay. Financial, physical, mental. The third dimension was ethical dilemmas. What are the responsible travel concerns we need to be aware of?
This is crucial because tourism, while vital economically, definitely has complex impacts. Well, the sheer volume of visitors can inflate local prices, making everyday goods less affordable for the people who actually live there year-round. Environmentally, we touched on waste. There's also the demand for fuel cooking, heating lodges, which can lead to deforestation in fragile high-altitude zones that have very slow regrowth rates.
So our presence has a direct impact.
A very direct impact. And then there's the issue of labor. The porters and guides who make these treks possible.
What's the concern there?
Ensuring they are treated fairly. Are they being paid a decent wage? Do they have proper gear for the conditions? Warm clothing, sunglasses, good boots, not just flip-flops at high altitude. Are they insured in case of accident or illness?
Things travelers might not even think about.
Exactly. But choosing a responsible trekking company that looks after its staff properly is a critical ethical choice. Price shouldn't be the only factor when you're hiring people whose well-being depends on that job.
So what are the key actions visitors should take to travel more responsibly?
Prioritize ethical companies, absolutely. Ask questions about porter welfare. Minimize your own waste. Carry reusable water bottles and purification tablets instead of buying endless plastic. Pack out everything you pack in. Be incredibly mindful of water usage.
And culturally.
Be respectful. Dress modestly, especially when visiting religious sites. Always ask before taking photos of people. Learn a few basic Nepali phrases. Understand that you are a guest in their home. The environmental degradation and sometimes seeing poorly equipped porters can be really upsetting. Visitors have a responsibility to be part of the solution, not add to the problem.
Okay, that reality check was sobering, but necessary.
Absolutely. Forewarned is forearmed.
So, we've weighed the incredible dream, the legend, against the often frustrating, expensive, and potentially risky reality. For those listening who hear all that, and the dream still wins out.
And for many, it will. That pull is strong.
Right. So now you're armed with the facts. Let's move to the solution, the strategic playbook. If you decide Nepal is for you, here's the game plan. How do you navigate the chaos and actually maximize the reward?
Okay, first things first. Let's tackle that logistical gauntlet. Just getting into the remote regions. As we said, reaching your trek's starting point is not a simple task.
Not a walk in the park, you called it.
Definitely not. It requires strategy and patience. Let's break down the options.
Lay out the spectrum for us. Easiest to hardest, maybe.
Well, easy is relative here. The most common route involves flying into Kathmandu's Trubhuvan International Airport, KTM. That's the main international gateway.
Straightforward enough.
From there, it depends where you're headed. For the Everest region, the standard route involves that domestic flight to Lukla's Tenzing Hillary Airport, LUA.
The one with the reputation.
Exactly. These flights are on small planes, highly weather dependent. Delays of hours, even days, are common, especially due to morning fog in Kathmandu or wind cloud cover in Lukla. You absolutely must build buffer days into your itinerary for this.
What's the alternative to flying to Lukla?
You can trek in from lower down, places like Jiri or Faplu. This takes significantly longer, adding maybe 5 to 7 days to your trek, but it avoids the risky flight and helps with acclimatization. It's the old school approach.
More time, less flight risk.
What about other regions, like Annapurna?
For the Annapurna region, the main hub is Pokhara. You can fly from Kathmandu to Pokhara, much less dramatic flight than Lukla, or take a bus.
Ah, the bus option. Cheaper.
Significantly cheaper, yes, but you pay in time and comfort. Tourist buses are okay-ish, taking maybe 6–8 hours for the Kathmandu-Pokhara journey on winding, sometimes rough roads. Local buses are cheaper still, but much slower, often overcrowded, and can take much longer. We're talking potentially 12+ hours for journeys that look short on a map.
Oof, that's a long time on a bus before you even start hiking. It's exhausting. So conquering the logistics means budget extra days for delays, always. Consider tourist buses over local ones for major routes unless you're on an extreme budget. Or, if your budget allows, private jeeps or cars can save a lot of time and hassle, especially getting to trailheads near Pokhara or elsewhere. Trying to rush the travel part is a recipe for stress and can derail your plans before day one.
Got it. Patience and buffer days are key. Now, money management. This seems crucial given the vertical inflation you mentioned. Let's structure it. The traveler's ledger. Budget tiers.
Yes, this helps set realistic expectations. Because costs vary so dramatically, we need categories. Remember, these daily estimates generally exclude your big pre-trip costs. International flights, visas, mandatory permits, and maybe internal flights like KTM Lukla.
Okay, so this is for daily spending on the ground, lodging, food, local transport, maybe guides, boarders.
Exactly. Let's start at the bottom. The shoestring survivor. What does, say, $20 to $30 US per day actually get you?
$20 a day in the Himalayas. Sounds tough.
It is. This is bare minimum survival mode, maximum discomfort accepted. Lodging will be the most basic tea house room, often just a plywood box with a mattress, maybe a shared squat toilet down the hall. Probably no heating, definitely no hot shower unless you pay extra.
And food.
Primarily dal pat. Lentil soup, rice, maybe a simple vegetable curry. It's the staple, it's filling, and crucially, in most tea houses, you get free refills on the rice and soup. So you eat dal pat twice a day, maybe some cheap instant noodles or Tibetan bread. You're carrying all your own gear, no guide, no porter, using only the cheapest local buses. It's doable, but it requires serious mental toughness and sacrificing almost all comfort.
Okay, moving up. The mid-range maverick. Someone who wants a reasonable level of comfort and safety, not outright luxury. What's the ballpark figure here?
This is probably the sweet spot for most trekkers, aiming for maybe $70 to $120 USD per day.
Quite a jump. What does that buy you?
It buys you choices and significantly reduces risk. You can afford cleaner lodges, often with a private room, maybe an attached bathroom in some places lower down. Crucially, this budget allows you to hire a licensed, insured guide and order porter.
Which you see as a safety investment.
Absolutely. A good guide provides navigation, local knowledge, helps assess weather and trail conditions, can recognize AMS symptoms, and liaises with lodges. A porter carries the bulk of your gear, making the trek physically much more manageable and enjoyable. Plus, hiring locally contributes directly to the economy. This budget ensures you can choose reputable companies that treat their staff well.
What else does mid-range get you?
Better food choices. You're not just stuck with a dal pat. You can afford pasta, momos, maybe even a pizza in some larger villages. You can afford safe, filtered, or boiled water instead of constantly buying plastic bottles. You might opt for tourist buses or shared jeeps for transfers. And you can probably afford to rent quality gear back in Kathmandu or Pokhara Gore-Tex jackets, down sleeping bags, things that actually work when you need them.
Makes sense. Comfort, safety, and supporting ethical practices. Finally, the high roller. Minimizing discomfort, maximizing ease.
Yeah, this is for travelers where budget is less of a constraint. Planning for $200 USD per day and upwards. This opens up a different level of experience.
How so?
You're staying in the best available lodges, sometimes luxury lodges with heated rooms, ensuite bathrooms with hot water, maybe even electric blankets. You'll likely have a full support team guide, assistant guide, multiple porters. Private transport is standard flights booked on more reliable airlines. Private jeep transfers. Dining will be top tier for the region. You might even carry things like a satellite phone for emergencies or supplementary oxygen systems for high altitude just in case. It's about minimizing logistical stress and maximizing comfort and safety margins.
Okay, 3 clear tiers. Very helpful for planning. Once the budget's sorted, let's talk itinerary strategy. Getting the most out of the must-sees.
Right, because just showing up isn't enough, especially at popular spots. Strategic timing is everything, non-negotiable. Meaning, if you want to actually enjoy a famous viewpoint, Or a crowded temple complex like Swayambhunath, the monkey temple in Kathmandu, or Buddhanath Stupa, or even sunrise views like Poon Hill. You absolutely must go early.
How early?
Dawn, or even pre-dawn. Be there at 6 a.m., maybe 6:30 a.m. at the latest. The difference between experiencing these places in the quiet morning light, often with just a few monks or locals, versus showing up at 10 a.m. with hordes of tour groups, it's night and day. One is potentially profound, the other is just frustrating noise and crowds.
Rise early, beat the rush.
Got it.
What about finding authentic local experiences, especially food, away from the tourist traps?
The golden rule is usually walk a block or two away from the main tourist street, look down the side alleys,
Okay.
find the small, unassuming places bustling with locals, not just foreigners clutching guidebooks. That's where you'll find the best momos, Nepali dumplings, the tastiest pukpa, noodle soup, the real deal batis, local eateries often serving homebrew.
Any specific tips for finding these gems?
Ask a local, but not necessarily the hotel concierge. Ask your guide, if you have one. Ask the person running the small shop where you buy water. Ask for their personal favorite spot for lunch. That usually yields much better results than just looking for places with English menus. And definitely seek out Nuari cuisine if you're in the Kathmandu Valley. It's the traditional food of the valley's indigenous people, and it's fantastic, quite distinct from standard Trek food.
Great tips. Now, the reward for diligent listeners, the hidden gems. Give us 2 or 3 specific alternatives, maybe treks or locations, that offer that authentic feel away from the EBC-ABC crowds.
Okay, for trekkers looking for something spectacular but less crowded than Everest, consider the Manaslu Circuit.
Manaslu, 8th highest peak, great.
That's the one. It circles Manaslu, offering incredible mountain views, diverse landscapes from subtropical to alpine, and really fascinating Tibetan Buddhist culture. Crucially, it's a restricted area, meaning you need special permits and must trek with a registered guide.
Which limits numbers.
Exactly. It sees only a fraction of the trekkers compared to EBC or Annapurna. The lodges are generally more basic than on the main routes, but the sense of remoteness and cultural immersion is much higher. It feels more like old-school Nepal trekking.
Okay, Manaslu Circuit. What else?
For those drawn to the Annapurna region's beauty but dreading the Annapurna base camp crowds, look at the Mardi Himal Trek.
Mardi Himal.
Yeah, it's a ridge trek that runs parallel to the main ABC trail, but it's shorter, generally less crowded, and offers absolutely stunning, really intimate, up-close views of Mokapusar, Fishtail Mountain, and Annapurna South.
Sounds like a great alternative.
It is. The trail goes through beautiful rhododendron forests and emerges onto this high ridge. The accommodation is simpler, more like basic tea houses, but the views per effort ratio is fantastic. It's a perfect mid-range option.
Excellent. One more. Maybe something non-trekking.
Sure. For a cultural escape without the intensity of Kathmandu, look beyond the main valley tourist towns. Consider exploring places like Bandipur or Panadi.
Tell us about them.
Bandipur is this beautifully preserved hilltop Nuari town, halfway between Kathmandu and Pokhara. It's got traditional architecture, pedestrian-only zones, stunning Himalayan views on clear days, and a much slower pace of life. Panadi is closer to Kathmandu, another ancient Nuari town with incredible temples, often overlooked by tourists rushing elsewhere. Staying in a local guest house or homestay in these smaller towns offers a much quieter, more authentic cultural immersion than battling the crowds in the capital.
Fantastic suggestions. Finally, let's distill the critical planning essentials. What absolutely must people book in advance? When? And key etiquette rules.
Okay, essentials. If you're trekking independently or even with a guide during peak season, autumn, spring, book your permits. That's the TIMS card, Truckers Information Management System, and the relevant national park or conservation area permit, CAP, ideally in advance through a registered agency, or be prepared for bureaucracy in Kathmandu or Pokhara.
And guides porters.
Definitely book reputable guides and porters well in advance, especially for popular treks or restricted areas like Manaslu. Don't just assume you can rock up and find reliable, ethical, insured staff immediately, particularly during busy times. Do your research on companies beforehand. Internal flights, especially Lukla, book as far ahead as possible.
Got it. And crucial local etiquette.
Respect is key. Number 1. Use your right hand for almost everything giving or receiving money, food, objects. The left hand is traditionally considered unclean.
Okay. Right hand only. What else?
Avoid pointing the soles of your feet at people or religious idols. It's disrespectful. When walking around Buddhist stupas, chortens, or mani walls with carved prayer stones, always pass them in a clockwise direction, keeping the structure to your right.
Clockwise. Good to know.
Dress modestly, particularly women, when away from the main tourist hubs or visiting temples, monasteries. Shoulders and knees covered is a good general rule. And maybe the most important, always ask permission before taking someone's photograph, especially close-ups or during ceremonies. Be prepared for them to say no and accept it graciously. A little cultural sensitivity goes a very long way in building rapport and having positive interactions. Hashtag outro.
Wow. Okay, this has been incredibly comprehensive. From the absolute highs, that spiritual awe on a Himalayan peak, down to the nitty-gritty of permits and porter ethics.
We've covered a lot of ground, from the legend to the reality and the playbook for navigating it.
You've given us the tools, so now we need to bring it all together, the final weigh-in.
Yeah, synthesizing this is the challenge. We've laid out that core conflict, the undeniable, almost magnetic pull of Nepal's grandeur, history, those moments of pure awe.
Weighed against
the often soul-crushing realities of modern tourism. The crowds, the commercialization, the environmental pressures, the vertical price hikes, and the sheer physical and logistical effort required.
So how do we land this? How do we put a final value judgment on it?
As we said up front, it can't be a simple yes, go, or no, don't. That wouldn't be helpful.
Needs nuance.
Exactly. We need a multi-part verdict tailored to different types of travelers, different expectations.
Okay, let's hear it. The definitive answer, based on everything we've discussed.
All right. The traveler's verdict on Nepal is complex, but hopefully highly actionable for you. First, Nepal, is worth it. If you are a serious trekker, someone who is physically prepared and genuinely values the journey itself, the challenge, the effort, the feeling of accomplishment, perhaps even more than just the destination snapshot.
The journey, not just the selfie spot.
Precisely. It's worth it if you are willing to actively strategize to mitigate the downsides. That means embracing those dawn starts to beat crowds. Maybe choosing less trodden routes like Manaslu or Marty Himmel that we mentioned.
Being proactive.
Yes. And if you are prepared to invest properly, not just money, but time in research to choose ethical operators, ensuring your guides and porters are well treated and insured, this investment in safety and responsibility is key. It's worth it if you're willing to plan meticulously to minimize your environmental footprint.
So the prepared, committed, ethically minded adventurer.
That type of traveler, the one who accepts the high transaction cost, intense effort for potentially epic reward, will likely find Nepal magical, maybe even transformative.
Okay, that's a clear yes if. Now, who should perhaps reconsider? Who is likely to be disappointed?
Right. Nepal is likely not worth it, F. If you're primarily seeking a relaxing, easy, restful holiday with minimal physical exertion, this ain't it.
Fair enough.
It's probably not worth it if you're on an extremely tight shoestring budget. While possible, the constant stress about money due to that vertical inflation, the lack of comfort, and the potential compromises on safety could easily outweigh the positive.
The financial anxiety would be high.
Very high. It's also not worth it if your tolerance for crowds, noise, pollution, especially in Kathmandu, and general logistical chaos is low. You need resilience here. And crucially, it's not worth it if your expectations are based purely on romanticized, decades-old images or documentaries showing pristine, empty landscapes everywhere.
Managing expectations is key.
Absolutely. If you arrive expecting untouched Shangri-La around every corner, the reality of commercialization, especially on the lower parts of popular treks, will likely lead to significant disappointment.
So, boiling it down, the potential for profound, maybe even life-changing awe in Nepal, it's still there, unrivaled perhaps.
It absolutely is. Those moments exist.
But accessing that reward is strictly proportional to the amount of preparation, strategic thinking, financial investment in safety and ethics, and sheer physical and mental endurance you're willing and able to commit.
That's it perfectly. Nepal demands a high transaction cost from the modern traveler. It demands you be a strategic player, not just a passive tourist.
A powerful final thought there. So for you, our listener, the takeaway isn't just about Nepal. It's about applying this critical thinking, weighing the glossy legend against the often harsh reality to all your future travel plans.
Use the playbook approach. Be informed.
The brochure sells the dream. Our deep dive hopefully gives you the real cost and the strategy for success. Travel smart.
Travel strategically. And maybe, just maybe, find that awe.
We'll catch you next time for another deep dive.